Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a jagged cliff, the wind howling like a chorus of restless spirits, tugging at your clothes, whispering doubts into your ears. Below, a chasm yawns wide, dark, endless, a graveyard for the hesitant. Your heart thuds against your ribcage, not from fear, but from the weight of a choice that could rewrite your destiny. Will you leap into the abyss, trusting the cold steel of your resolve? Or will you falter, clutching the frail threads of sentiment, and watch opportunity slip through your fingers like sand? History offers no mercy to the wavering. It buries them in unmarked graves, their names erased by the relentless march of time. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a lesson carved from the shadows of Niccolo Machiavelli, a master of power who understood that the game is won not with a trembling heart, but with a silent blade forged in the fire of unrelenting logic. Let me ask you a question that cuts to the bone. When was the last time you hesitated? Not because you lacked the facts, but because your emotions chained you to an action? Maybe it was a promotion you didn't fight for, fearing confrontation. Perhaps a relationship you didn't end, dreading the tears. Or a business move you delayed, paralyzed by the thought of failure. In that moment, you didn't just lose time. You surrendered power. And power, my friends, is not a gift bestowed upon the timid. It is a prize seized by those who dare to silence the noise within and act with precision. 500 years ago, in the blood-soaked courts of Renaissance Italy, Machiavelli penned a truth that echoes through the ages. He who desires power must cast aside the crutches of emotion. His words weren't poetry. They were a battle cry for those willing to shed the skin of weakness and embrace the cold, unyielding calculus of victory. Today, we live in a world drowning in feelings. Social media feeds overflow with confessions. Leaders apologize for strength, and empathy is peddled as the ultimate virtue. But ask yourself, does the lion weep before it strikes? Does the storm pause to mourn the trees it uproots? No. Nature teaches us what society forgets. Power belongs to those who act, not those who feel. This is not a gentle sermon for the faint-hearted. This is a wake-up call for the ambitious, the restless, the ones who refuse to be pawns in someone else's game. Over the next hour, I'll guide you through a brutal yet liberating truth. To master power, you must wield the silent blade, a mind sharpened by strategy, unburdened by regret, and fearless in its pursuit of results. Are you ready to step into the fire and emerge stronger? Then let's begin. Section 1. The Folly of the Warm Heart. We live in an age of noise, a cacophony of voices shouting their truths, bearing their souls, and begging for validation. Scroll through your phone, and you'll see it. The coworker venting about a bad day, the influencer sobbing over a breakup, the CEO issuing a tearful apology for some perceived misstep. Transparency, they call it. Authenticity. Humanity. But let's strip away the platitudes and face the raw reality. This obsession with emotional exposure is a shackle disguised as freedom. It's a weakness that Machiavelli would have sneered at, a self-inflicted wound that bleeds opportunity dry. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a prince who deceives them will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived." Translation: the warm-hearted are predictable. They wear their fears, their loves, their guilt on their sleeves, handing their enemies, or their rivals, a map to their undoing. Picture this. A manager hesitates to fire an underperforming employee because she feels bad. The team suffers, morale plummets, and profits erode. Meanwhile, the competitor across town cuts the dead weight, without a second thought, surging ahead. Who wins? Not the one drowning in empathy. Contrast this with Machiavelli's world. In the courts of Florence, words were weapons, and silence was armor. A lord who babbled his intentions was a lord soon deposed. A general who wept for his fallen men was a general buried beside them. Power demanded a cold heart, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. Today, we've inverted that wisdom. We're told to connect, to share, to be vulnerable. But vulnerability is a luxury for the powerless. The moment you confess your doubts to the world, you've armed your adversaries with ammunition. Let's bring this home with a modern example. In 2018, a major tech company faced backlash over a product flaw. The CEO took to Twitter with a heartfelt mea culpa, promising transparency and change. Noble, right? Wrong. Stock prices tanked, critics pounced, and competitors swooped in to steal market share. Compare that to Steve Jobs, who, when faced with the iPhone 4's antenna issues, didn't grovel. He deflected, doubled down, and kept Apple's dominance intact. One leader bled emotion, the other wielded silence like a blade. Guess who's remembered as a titan? The warm heart fails because it's a slave to the moment. Anger makes you lash out. Fear makes you retreat. Compassion makes you compromise. Each emotion is a puppet string, and the world is full of puppeteers eager to pull. Machiavelli knew this. He advised princes to seem merciful, faithful, humane, but never to be those things when survival was at stake. Appearance matters, results matter more. So ask yourself, how often do you sacrifice the long game for a fleeting feeling? How many times have you apologized when you should have advanced? This isn't about becoming a monster. It's about recognizing that power isn't won by hugging your way to the top. It's claimed by those who see the board, not the tears on the pieces. The warm heart is a relic of a softer time, when survival meant huddling together against the cold. Today, survival means outmaneuvering the herd. And the herd, my friends, is loud, emotional, and ripe for the taking. Section 2. The power of strategic silence. If emotion is the crack in your armor, silence is the shield that protects it. Not the silence of cowardice, the muteness of a deer frozen in headlights, but the silence of a predator stalking its prey. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. In his dealings with Cesare Borgia, the ruthless duke who carved a kingdom from chaos, he noted a simple pattern. Borgia spoke little, listened much, and struck without warning. His enemies babbled their plans. He harvested their words and buried them with their own ambition. This is the silent blade in action, a weapon of observation, calculation, and devastating precision. Let's break this down. Strategic silence serves three purposes. It gathers intelligence, it builds authority, and it delivers results. First, intelligence. In a world where everyone overshares, the one who listens wins. Imagine a boardroom negotiation. One executive brags about his company's margins, desperate to impress. The other sits back, nods, and says nothing. By the meeting's end, the braggart has revealed his hand, his weaknesses, his leverage, his desperation. The silent one, he's mapped the battlefield without firing a shot. Machiavelli put it bluntly. The wise man learns more from his enemies than the fool from his friends. Silence is how you learn. Second, authority. Words dilute power. Silence amplifies it. Think of a leader who rambles. Every sentence chips away at their mystique. Now picture one who speaks only when the room falls still, each word landing like a hammer on an anvil. Who commands respect? In 1513, Machiavelli advised, a prince should seem to be all mercy, all faith, all integrity, but he must know how to be otherwise. Silence is the mask that projects strength while hiding intent. Jeff Bezos mastered this at Amazon. His sparse, cryptic emails left employees guessing, scrambling, and ultimately obeying. The less he said, the more they feared. Third, results. The silent blade doesn't waste energy on noise. It cuts straight to the outcome. Consider a startup founder pitching to investors. One gushes about her passion, her dreams, her sleepless nights. The other presents cold numbers, a lean plan, and a steely gaze. Who gets the funding? Passion sways hearts, silence sways wallets. Machiavelli's lesson is clear. Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can feel. Results speak, emotions beg. Let's ground this in today's chaos. On social media, the loudest voices, tweeting every thought, arguing every slight, drown in their own irrelevance. The shrewd ones, they watch, they wait, they strike, sometimes for years, then strike when the moment ripens. Take Elon Musk. He's vocal, yes, but notice his pattern. He drops bombshells, a Tesla factory, a Mars mission, with minimal buildup, catching rivals off guard. That's strategic silence at work. Control the narrative by controlling when you speak. But wielding the silent blade isn't easy. It demands discipline. To bite your tongue when anger flares. to resist the urge to justify, to let others fill the void with their assumptions. Try it. Next time you're in a heated debate, pause. Watch your opponent squirm, over-explain, unravel. Silence unnerves the weak, it empowers the strong. Section 3. Forging the cold blade. A blade isn't tempered by tears, it's forged in fire. So too is the mind that masters power. Developing a cold heart isn't a gift you're born with, it's a skill you hammer into shape through pain, practice, and unrelenting focus. Machiavelli didn't mince words. A prince must have no other object nor thought but war and its rules. Swap war for power, and you've got the blueprint. Single-minded dedication to the goal. Emotion be damned. Step 1. Identify your triggers. What pulls you off course? Fear of rejection? Guilt over others' pain? The need to be liked? Write them down. Stare at them. These aren't virtues, they're chains. Step 2. Reframe your focus. Every decision has one question. What delivers the outcome? Not who gets hurt. Or ascertainable, not will they hate me? Step 3. Practice detachment. Start small. Skip the apology when you're late. Fire the slacker without a speech. Each cut severs a thread of sentiment. Step 4. Embrace the fire. Make the unpopular call. Cancel the project. End a friendship. Take the risk. Pain is the forge. Hesitation is the rust. Look at Margaret Thatcher. In 1982, Argentina invaded the Falklands. Her advisors wavered. War would cost lives, tarnish her image. She didn't flinch. British sovereignty is at stake, she said, and sent the fleet. Critics howled. History crowned her the Iron Lady. Or Steve Jobs, firing loyal engineers, axing pet projects. Apple soared because he slashed the fat, not because he coddled it. The cold blade isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Emotions cloud judgment, detachment sharpens it. When you hesitate, you don't just lose the moment, you lose confidence. Doubt festers, paralysis spreads. But act decisively, and even if you fail, you learn. Success builds on scars, not softness. Section 4. The cost of hesitation. Hesitation is the silent thief of power. It steals time, options, and legacy. Julius Caesar faced this at the Rubicon in 49 BC. Cross it, and he'd spark civil war, blood, chaos, betrayal. Wait, and Pompey would crush him. He crossed. Rome unified under his banner. Pompey? A footnote, dead on an Egyptian shore. Hesitation lost him everything. Fast forward to today. A startup founder clings to a dying product, hoping for a miracle. His rival pivots, cuts losses, thrives. The cost isn't just money, it's momentum. Emotion whispers, give it time. Logic shouts, kill it now. Who wins? The one who acts. Machiavelli warned, fortune is a woman, and if you want to keep her under control, you must beat and coerce her. Harsh. Yes. True. Undeniably. Opportunity doesn't wait for your feelings to catch up. It flees from indecision. Napoleon knew this. In 1812, he retreated from Moscow, sparing his army despite generals' pleas for glory. He lived to fight again. Pride would have buried him. Hesitation breeds regret, a weight that drags you down. Ask yourself, what chance did you miss because you cared too much? The job you didn't take? The deal you didn't close? Each what if is a ghost that haunts the timid. Section 5. The modern paradox. Here's the rub. Our brains evolved for emotional security. Fear kept us alive. Compassion built tribes. But the game's changed. Survival now means outthinking, outpacing, outlasting. Yet we're still wired to crave comfort, avoiding conflict, soothing egos, chasing authenticity. It's a paradox. What feels right emotionally often screws us strategically. Take leadership. Transparency's the buzzword. Share your fears. Bare your soul. But Machiavelli scoffed at that. A prince should seem humane, but be ready to abandon it. Why? Because power isn't a therapy session, it's a chessboard. Bezos didn't build Amazon by bonding over feelings. He did it by slashing inefficiencies, even if it meant burnout. Results trump vibes. This wiring traps us. Guilt stalls layoffs that save companies. Fear delays risks that win markets. The fix? Rewire yourself. See discomfort as fuel, not a foe. Cold logic isn't natural, it's earned. Closing call to action. The world doesn't bend for the warm-hearted. It bows to the cold and unyielding. You've heard the truth. Emotion is a leash. Silence is a blade. History proves it. Caesar, Thatcher, Jobs, Bezos. They didn't hug their way to greatness. They cut through the noise. Now it's your turn. What are you sacrificing by clinging to feelings? A career stalled by indecision? A dream choked by doubt? Every second you hesitate, someone else acts. The silent blade isn't just a tool, it's a mindset. Forge it. Wield it. Win with it. Subscribe now. Dive deeper into mastering power. Learn the moves. Shed the baggage. Claim the prize. Your next decision could carve your legacy, or bury it. Don't wait for permission. Act. The game's on, and the clock's ticking.